Anti-Zionist anti-Semitism is a complex issue that often hides behind the guise of political discourse. It uses criticism of Israel and Zionism as a cover for prejudice and discrimination against Jewish people. While criticizing a country's government or policies is legitimate, anti-Zionist anti-Semitism crosses the line when it demonizes Israel, denies its right to exist, or applies double standards to Israel that are not applied to other nations. This topic is incredibly relevant today. We're seeing a resurgence of anti-Semitism globally, and anti-Zionist sentiment is often at its core. Understanding the difference between legitimate criticism of Israel and anti-Semitic attacks disguised as such is crucial to combating prejudice and fostering meaningful dialogue. Anti-Semitism has plagued Jewish communities for centuries, often rooted in religious differences and economic scapegoating. However, with the rise of nationalism in the 19th century Europe, a new form of anti-Semitism emerged. This new strain, often called racial anti-Semitism, viewed Jews not just as a different religion, but as an entirely separate and inferior race. This dangerous ideology fueled the flames of hatred that ultimately led to the Holocaust. Zionism arose in the late 19th century as a response to this growing anti-Semitism. It proposed the creation of a Jewish state in their ancestral homeland, offering a haven from persecution. Unfortunately, this movement also became a target of anti-Semitism. Many opposed the idea of a Jewish state, often drawing on existing anti-Semitic tropes to justify their stance. They viewed Jews as interlopers in the Middle East, ignoring their historical and cultural ties to the land. Today, anti-Zionist anti-Semitism manifests in various ways. One prominent example is the boycott, divestment, and sanctions (BDS) movement. While proponents argue it's a peaceful way to pressure Israel, critics point to its disproportionate targeting of Israel and its use of classic anti-Semitic tropes. For example, BDS often accuses Israel of apartheid, a deeply offensive comparison that minimizes the suffering of Black South Africans and demonizes Israel. Another manifestation is the use of Holocaust imagery and rhetoric when criticizing Israel. Comparing Israeli policies to Nazi Germany is not only historically inaccurate, but also trivializes the Holocaust and its victims. This form of anti-Zionism exploits the memory of Jewish suffering to demonize the Jewish state, further blurring the lines between legitimate criticism and anti-Semitism. Disguising anti-Semitism as political critique. One of the most insidious aspects of anti-Zionist anti-Semitism is its ability to disguise itself as legitimate political discourse. Critics argue that they're simply exercising their right to criticize Israeli policies, claiming their opposition is rooted in concern for Palestinian rights. However, this argument often falls apart upon closer examination. For instance, holding Israel to a different standard than other countries in the region or even globally is a red flag. Demanding Israel solve complex geopolitical issues single-handedly, while ignoring the actions of other actors involved, suggests a deeper bias at play. Additionally, denying the Jewish people's right to self-determination, a right afforded to other nations, exposes the hypocrisy at the heart of much anti-Zionist rhetoric. Consequences and impacts, the real-world harm. The consequences of anti-Zionist anti-Semitism are far-reaching and deeply concerning. Jewish students on college campuses often face hostility and discrimination for expressing their support for Israel. They are targeted with hate speech, excluded from campus activities, and subjected to a hostile environment that makes them feel unsafe and unwelcome. Furthermore, anti-Zionist sentiment contributes to a climate of fear and insecurity for Jewish communities worldwide. Synagogues and Jewish community centers have become targets of hate crimes, often fueled by anti-Israel rhetoric. This climate of fear has a chilling effect on Jewish life, making individuals afraid to openly express their identity and participate fully in society. Combating anti-Zionist anti-Semitism. Combating anti-Zionist anti-Semitism requires vigilance and education. It's crucial to differentiate between legitimate criticism of Israeli policies and anti-Semitism disguised as such. We must call out double standards, challenge harmful stereotypes, and expose the historical roots of this prejudice. Open and honest dialogue is essential to fostering understanding and combating hatred. By engaging in respectful conversations, educating ourselves and others, and standing up against all forms of bigotry, we can create a more just and equitable world for all.